Good evening, my fellow Toastmasters, on this fabulous September 20th, 2022. It was exactly 63 years ago today that Mama had me.
Hey.
Happy birthday.
And we
Happy
welcome all
birthday,
the rest
Bob.
of you to this day.
Yeah.
As usual, I got something for Dan. Dan, I brought my trusty hammer.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness, Bob.
So, all right, knock on wood.
I
This
feel so
mission
fulfilled now.
is officially open today. So, now I'm going to read our mission statement of the day. I'm going to try to do two things at once. Don't quite have it memorized. Oh, wrong one. Okay. Nope. Oh. The mission of our golden speakers is to create a supportive and positive learning environment in which each member has an opportunity to develop a verbal and communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth. Welcome, everyone. Art touched a little bit of base about dues, so we'll move right along. We have this evening, we're going to be treated from Karthik. He's going to be doing his icebreaker tonight, and we're all looking forward to that. He's all jazzed up. I seen him standing up there. He's looking good. Yeah. And on that note, we are going to pass it off to our Toastmaster this evening, which is, I don't have it in front of me.
Me.
Toastmaster. Art?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. My first duty is to introduce the other role players who will help conduct this meeting. Our timer tonight is Alex. Alex, could you explain your role?
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. As a timer, I will be timing the speech that we have tonight from Karthik, and also the table topics rounds and the evaluators. For the speech will be 5 to 7 minutes, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah.
No,
4
to 6.
Okay, 4 to 6 minutes. So at 4 minutes, I will show the green card. At 5 minutes, I will show the yellow card. And then at 6 minutes, I will show the red card. And then the speaker has 30 seconds to complete the speech. For the rounds of table topics, I will show the green card at 1.5 minutes. A minute, it's a minute, I'm sorry. Yeah, a minute. The yellow card at 1.5 minutes, and the red card at 2 minutes, and then the speaker has 30 seconds to complete. And for the evaluators, depending on the amount of speakers that we have tonight, it will be from 2 to 3 minutes. So at 2 minutes, I'll show the green card. At 2.5 minutes, I'll show the yellow. At 3 minutes, I'll show the red. And the evaluator has 30 seconds to complete. And I'll give my report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Tonight's grammarian is Jean Symington Craig. Jean, could you tell us about grammarian's role?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. The grammarian's role, there's 2 pieces to it. First is to introduce the word of the day. I did put this into the chat. The word of the day is salient. It's an adjective. It means most noticeable or important. An example is it succinctly covered all of the salient points of the case. It's actually a very useful word. It's when you want to highlight something as a priority, as most important. I will be looking for usages of that word and taking note. So the goal is to use that at some point in the meeting. Second aspect of my role is to note creative usages of language and vocabulary And also possible usages that I think could use a little improvement. I will give a report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jean. Tonight's counter is Dan Craig. Dan, please tell us about the counter.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. My role as counter is to keep track of sounds that are used as a crutch rather than letting the speech come to a natural pause. There are words such as well, so, like. I'll also track things like repeats or false starts or even tongue clicks, things that enter into the speech which shouldn't be there. Rather, it should just be a pause. That's the salient point, that there are various types of fillers which we use instead of allowing a natural pause. I'll keep track and I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Dan. Next general evaluator, Jean Symington Craig, will take over the meeting somewhat later. And we have a greeter joke master this evening in the form of Alex, who will entertain us with humor again toward the end of the meeting. Now it's my good pleasure to pass the gavel to Bob Fogel. Bob Fogel will serve as evaluator for Karthik, giving his icebreaker. Bob, would you like to introduce the project objectives for Karthik's icebreaker?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. This evening, Karthik is going to be giving his icebreaker. And the purpose of his project is for the member to introduce himself to the club and to learn the basic structure of a public speech. This member is completing their first speech for Toastmasters. The goal is to evaluate as to give the member the effective evaluation of their speech and delivery style. Because of the icebreaker, it's the first project a member completes. You may choose to use one of the notes or sections that I might score on, and then I will give you my evaluation as when I get it done. Passing on to Karthik. Karthik, before you start, I would introduce you more. Typically when you do this, you give a little intro, your number, your name, just
Yes,
a
I
little
actually,
bio of some sort.
but I actually typed it out in the email, in the website for the club, I think so.
Mhm.
In the speech, when I accept it, I had to type something in, I believe. So I went and, typed that thing because Jean mentioned to me about that. So I thought it would come to whoever that took
Actually,
care of it.
that's a good, I'm sorry to interrupt. That's a good thing to do, but we just weren't aware that it was happening. So it passed. Ordinarily, it would go to the Toastmaster to do the introduction.
Do you have it handy, Karthik?
I don't have, unfortunately. I just typed it out and I don't have it.
Okay. Just looking here. Does anyone know? I'm in Easy Speak, and let's see where that would be.
I'm fine. Let's start the speech if it's fine. Because
If you
Yeah.
look at the agenda and click on that little box about the speech, it'll probably show it to you.
Agenda. Looking at Karthik. Let's see.
The agenda where the roles are assigned.
I'm looking at that. I'm seeing him in there as a presenter.
You see a little box that you can click on and see what the speech assignment is?
No, it just has his name as a link.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll just have to pass on it.
Okay. Okay. I'll start now. Why am I not able to articulate what I think to communicate? Why am I not able to overcome my shyness in opening up with people and making friends? Will I become a better version of myself? Fellow Toastmasters, my dear guests, these are the thoughts that I have had in my mind for a very long time. In this icebreaker speech, I'll be sharing some glimpse of my life journey and why I joined Toastmasters. I am Karthik. I was born and brought up in Tamil Nadu, which is one of the southernmost states in India. My father is a chief financial officer now at a private company in India, and my mom is a homemaker. My mom gave birth to me and my sister in the same year, same month, and in the same day. Yes, we are twins. Growing up, I've always been a very shy person, and my situations made it even worse. My family has moved frequently. My father has switched to different companies, which were in different cities. So we as a family moved along with him 6 times, and I was put in 5 different schools. We started moving so frequently that my mom stopped unpacking some stuff. She would just keep them in the attic. And then because she knows she has to, pack them a year later. So as a shy person, it was hard for me to, develop some courage to speak with some new people. It took some time. Just when I make friends and create some bond, we'd move again. In addition to that, I was being bullied, called out in different names for wearing spectacles. I started wearing spectacles or glasses from the age of 4. The kind of specs that I wore would be odd for that age. So I was made fun of from my childhood till my bachelor's. So because of this, I became even more shy. It was hard for me to open up, to speak with people, and to make friends. I have made some efforts to overcome my shyness. I would like to mention 2 such events. One was during my 11th grade. During my 11th grade, I opted for becoming the class leader. Since I was good in academics, my class teacher agreed to that. As a class leader, I had to speak in front of the class for any events or announcements, or to make sure that the class is quiet when the teacher is not there, and so on. I struggled to overcome my shyness. Despite the efforts that I made, I was still being made fun of, but this time with a new name, as this is a new school. And the second instance that I could say is during my bachelor's final year, I myself, along with my 2 other classmates, came up with an idea to teach juniors on how to improve their aptitude skills. I thought of this as an opportunity to overcome my shyness and my stage fear. So I prepared for the classes, and I taught them how to solve the aptitude questions. I was able to overcome a little bit of stage fear, but the shyness in me was still there. I wasn't able to develop some conversations or connect or speak with juniors apart from the questions that I had prepared for. And then after a year, I came to US to pursue master's degree. I thought I had overcome my shyness and developed communication skills after pursuing master's. But 3 months into my job role at CNH, where I currently work, I realized that was not the case. In my workplace, I had to speak with people, speak with the planners in my team, because I work on new product launches. So I have to speak with people in my team and cross-functionally with engineering, purchasing, logistics, and so on. In my workplace, I have experienced certain situations where I have felt that I need to improve my communication skills, and I have also received feedback that I need to work on the way that I communicate. So with the frequent moving during my childhood and being bullied, it was hard for me to overcome my shyness in opening up to people making connections and communicating with people in general. Despite the efforts that I made, I was still struggling and I was worried. First, I learned about Toastmasters when I stumbled upon my uncle's friend's LinkedIn profile. He was a manager in a company. I learned that he was working, he was in Toastmasters for over 10 years. When I searched what is Toastmasters in Google, and I came across multiple blog posts where they have mentioned about the benefits that they've obtained from joining Toastmasters in terms of their self-confidence and improving the communication skills. After some procrastination, of course, I joined Toastmasters. I've joined Toastmasters now. And I plan on becoming a better communicator, which in turn will boost my self-confidence and will help me in overcoming my shyness. Hello, Toastmasters and guests. I have read this somewhere in a blog post that said, an excuse towards something is what one builds towards a house of failure. I have taken my first step by joining Toastmasters. Do you have any excuse that you shy away from? Back to you, Toastmasters.
Woo! Woo!
Very good, Karthik.
Thank you.
Very, very courageous.
Awesome. Awesome. Hmm.
I was a little bit nervous though.
Of course.
Everybody is.
Everybody is. Yeah. Hmm.
I actually planned on using the word salient for saying the two salient events, but in the flow I forgot.
It's okay. It's okay.
Mr. Toastmaster.
The salient point is to get through your icebreaker as wonderfully as you did. So, Mr. Toastmaster, are you wanting us to
Yes,
do time?
we'd like to take 2 minutes on the clock to put together some evaluative notes for Karthik in the chat. Bob, are you ready to offer the evaluation for Karthik?
I can, yes, I am Mr. Toastmaster.
Yes.
So for the evaluation is 2 to 3 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Well, Karthik, I want to let you know you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And as I stated in a little chat to you, I like the fact that you came out swinging. You had a strong opening where you led into it a little bit, and then you acknowledge those Toastmasters after a few sentences. That's sign of professionalism. That's a good thing. In the beginning, I noticed you use very few filler words. And I could tell that you've been practicing your filler words when I first met you, and you've improved it a lot. There's a few ahs in there that kind of hit on, but the filler words were down a lot and your pauses were good. I thought you possessed great skills. You stood up, you faced the camera, and if your speech was about shyness, but whatever shyness was is long behind you, because I was watching your hand gestures, your eye movements. You were totally in control, good control of what was going on in the audience, and you had us captivated there. It was a great story. I liked how you started the question and how you shared with us how you became shy due to the spectacles. I like that word, and how it set you down a path. But at some point you made a choice to overcome that, and which we all saw that in your speech. And that was the body of your speech, and I liked it. And then in the conclusion of your speech, you stated some good things that you work on daily. And And in this life, you have to work on things daily. And that was a great point that you pointed out. And I like your strong conclusion. And I think it shined. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
One thing before I go, Karthik, is I should leave you with one suggestion. Okay. And the suggestion would simply be, even though you are conquer and overcome your ahs, your ers, your ums, the word ah was used many times. And I think the more you practice your speech, you will lose those ahs and concentrate on the pauses.
Okay.
Is that with you?
I have a question. Can I ask now or later?
Yes.
Okay. So if it's a prepared speech, if I work on the prepared speech, I may get rid of the ah. But let's say for a a topic given.
Oh, no.
Okay. For the topic given, like now, where you speak impromptu speech, I don't know how will I get to overcome the ums or the filler words in those moments, because that is when I think and speak, right?
It's a different muscle.
Different muscle. Okay.
You just have to keep doing it. You made a great start today. You hear it, and you'll be surprised. It's going to get better and better, but it is a different muscle.
Okay.
Madam
Thank you.
Timer, did
Yes.
Karthik qualify? Madam Timer?
Yes, the speaker and the evaluator qualified.
Very good. Let's move forward with
Mhm.
the next section, and that will be run by Dan Craig as Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. The theme for tonight's meeting was Just My Imagination. I don't know if you know that old song. That's what I had in mind. I have 8 questions. All of them have something to do with imagine. And all I need at this point is my first willing volunteer. Jean, please choose 1 through 8.
Let's see. How about 4?
4. If you could choose any person from history to be your imaginary friend, who would it be and why?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. It's recent history, but I would love to spend time with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I just listened to an interview with Nina Totenberg, who is the NPR legal correspondent, about her new book titled Dinners with Ruth. They became friends professionally over the years before Ruth Bader Ginsburg became a judge and before Nina Totenberg became just the go-to person for legal commentary on National Public Radio. It was just fascinating. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg, some of you may have seen my speech that I did about her, getting into some of her salient cases and decisions and her strategy on how to move the needle in the direction of equality and fairness and inclusivity. Such a strategist and a wonderful, big-hearted person. I just can't think of a better combination of attributes for me to have in a person who would be a companion. I would be honored to be in her presence. Doesn't take much imagination for me to think that would just be a really significant, important, and life propelling association.
Thank you, Jean. Well done.
Mhm.
Who is next? Alex. I've got 1 through 8, only 4 is gone.
All right, let's do number 1.
You need a timer, Alex?
Yes, Bob, if you can time me, that'll be great. Thank you.
Always has it handy there.
Never be without it.
All right. Number 1, imagine you could live anywhere in the world expense-free for 6 months. Where would you go and what would you do? Imagine you could live anywhere in the world expense-free for 6 months. Where would you go and what would you do?
Thanks for the question, Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. By now, you all know that I come from a tropical country. And based on my speeches in the past, the obvious answer would be a place with a beach. But this time, I would, if I could choose a place to live for 6 months, expense-free, I would choose to go to Chile and visit the Eastern Islands. The Easter Islands. This place has been in my list for a few years, and I'm getting close, very close to finally start planning this trip. It's gonna come, but if I did have the chance to go somewhere, I think I would choose the Eastern Islands, and I would go there are many things to do there. You can ride a bike. It's not a big island, but you can ride a bike pretty much in the most area that you can. I believe that a part of it is a national park you don't have access to, but for a good part of the island, you can just rent a bike and ride along, go for some hikes, and definitely see the Rapa Nuis, which are those big faces made of stone that is still a mystery to everyone and to history, why they are all facing the same direction. So I would love to go to, I believe it's Easter Island. That's correct. That's Easter Island. And that would be my choice. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Alex. Who's next?
I'll go down.
Okay, Bob. I've got 2 and 3 and 5 through 8.
Number 7.
Number 7. Imagine you were stranded on a desert island and could choose one music recording to be able to play. Explain what it would be and why it's your choice.
Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. What if I was stranded on an island? What would I listen to? I believe when I say this, you're probably going to shake your head. However, being the rocker that I am, I lean towards Alice in Chains. Now, maybe some of you have heard Alice in Chains. Maybe some of you haven't. I always liked Lane Staley's vocals. Something about his vocals relate to me. And he sings about kind of the lifestyle that I've lived and kind of the rock star style that I would like to live. So while I'm sitting on this rock with the ocean lapping at me, I would be thinking about him singing, and I would imagine all the fans in the crowds coming on boats to come around the ocean shore to come save me. Because I know my true rocker friends would show up if I knew I was there. And by that time I got found, my hair would probably be down to here. And I would take seashells and make little bracelets. And I let my beard grow out. And they just think I was another rock star. And they're like, hey, party's here. Let's go see Bob. That's why I like Alice in Chains.
Okay, Bob. You have a good imagination, I must say. Who's next? Karthik.
Two.
Okay. 2.
Yes.
Imagine you were king for the day. Tell us about the one decree that you would issue to your subjects.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Imagine that you were king for the day.
Mhm.
Tell us about one decree that you would issue to your subjects.
Can I ask a question? I don't understand what's a decree mean.
A order.
Yeah, a granting of,
So what's the one order
The
that you would
king,
give?
everyone has to obey the king.
Okay.
So
yeah,
if you were king, what order would you give the people in your country?
Hello, Toastmasters and guests. If I was the king in my country, I would consider India. If I was the king, I would tell the people in my country to clean their own. I'm not sure if I can use this word.
yeah.
The reason
Sanitation.
sanitation. Okay. The reason is because in India, so similar to race in US, there is something called caste in India, which is divided by, you have a religion, and then in each religion you have a caste in India, right? So there are only certain people from certain castes are subjected right now in India to clean that are in the drainage, or we use the restroom and it all gets deposited in underground, and somebody cleans it, or there's a system in US that cleans it. But in India, there are people from a certain caste that are supposed to do that job, or you still have that kind of divide or something. So if I was the king, I would tell the people to not based on the certain caste, but depending on the economic status or whatever that is. If someone is willing to do a job, they can do that. Otherwise, create a system that create some engineers or order some engineers to develop a system to automate the process rather than people going in and doing that job.
Mhm.
So this is the one order that I would provide them.
Mhm.
Very good, Karthik. I have more. Who else wants to speak? Art, are you up for it?
I'm evaluating, so someone else needs to evaluate me.
Yes. Who can evaluate Art? Okay, Jean, very good. Art, I have question number 3, 5, 6, and 8.
3,
Imagine you are building the greatest sandwich ever. Tell us about making it and eating it. Imagine you are building the greatest sandwich ever. Tell us about making it and eating it.
Ah. Hungry.
thanks for the opportunity to delve into my gastronomical past. The answer to that question depends on what age you're catching me at. If you're catching me before the age of 14 or 15, it would be on 2 slices of whole wheat pre-sliced bread, the biggest peanut butter and iceberg lettuce sandwich you could assemble that I could still get my jaws around. It would have to be unsalted peanut butter, salted peanut butter out of a jar, maybe Laura Scudder's or another one of the popular brands. It would have to be liquid enough to come out of the jar easily on a spreading knife and slather onto the slices of bread, and then nice big chunks of lettuce, crunchy, cold lettuce directly out of the fridge on the bed of peanut butter. And there would have to be enough squeeze out that it would dribble on some part of my clothing when I bit into it. At other ages, the sandwich would be different. Nowadays, I think of trying to make sure that it's a good fresh sourdough bread from the local bakery, and that there's some protein on the sandwich, maybe slices of deli chicken or turkey. So I have a different set of considerations these days. But it's amazing how many of those peanut butter sandwiches still sneak into the gastronomical calendar even now. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Art, as Toastmaster, I want to ask you, do we have time for one more? Or are we?
We have 3 minutes, according to. We have time for at least one.
So what numbers are left, Dan?
I've got 5, 6, and 8.
Why don't you do 8?
Oh, okay.
That was a really good one, Jean.
Dirty trick. Boy, why did I write
The
this?
salient question is, does she have inside knowledge?
I don't.
No, she doesn't.
No, I don't.
Imagine this was to be the last day you are to spend on Earth. Describe how you would spend that time. Imagine this was to be the last day you are to spend on Earth. Describe how you would spend that time.
Who's the speaker?
Me. Jean bounced it at me. She just said,
Oh,
pick number 8. Mr. Topics Master, great question. Fellow Toastmasters, I think if it was the last day that I was going to spend on Earth, I would try to make it a very long day. I would get up before dawn. I'd go sit outside and just watch the world come alive. Sometimes we take our natural environment for granted, but there is just such stunning beauty in the many phases of the earth and the sky and our natural surroundings. So the first thing I'd like to do would be to watch the dawn come up, hear the birds wake up, see that first colorful light rise in the eastern horizon. And that is the way I would like to spend quite a bit of the day. If I knew I was going to be leaving Earth, I'd like to see some of the wonderful things that Earth has. I'd like to take a walk in the woods with some really huge trees. I'd like to see some running water or a waterfall. I'd like to walk with Jean along the seashore and have the waves break along as we just wandered down that hard-packed sand on the edge of the surf and felt that infinity of the ocean out there right beside us. It would be tough to think of all the wonderful things to do on the last day that I had. But that is the salient angle, I would say. I need to spend some time out in the beauty of nature, and I need to spend some time with Jean. Thanks.
You're going to be enjoying nature. I'm going to be sobbing my eyes out. Sounds,
Could be the last day you're going to spend on the earth too. You don't know that part.
oh, well, we may have to fit in some of my activities then too.
Yeah, we could also go shopping. Could I ask Madam Timer to tell us who qualified so we could vote?
Sure, all the speakers qualified tonight.
Good.
Also great questions then. Thank you for the questions. It was very nice.
Thank you. So we're going to send our votes to Art for best table topic speaker. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, so that's you scratching your eyebrow.
Oh, no, that's, I just have an itch, but I'm thinking actually, as general evaluator, so that Art's not overwhelmed with all the roles he's got simultaneously. We're now at the table topics evaluator role. Is that right, Art?
That's right. I'm trying to wrap up my evaluation ideas here.
Mm-hmm.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and somebody did me.
Right. So definitely at least 3 to 4. Would you like 3 to 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, fellow Toastmasters, it would appear that islands were front-running the answers from this group. Most of the ideas involved an island somehow. Lots of them did anyway. Jean spoke first, and she didn't speak about going to an island. She spoke about her admiration for and choice of Ruth Bader Ginsburg as the person to spend time with if she could choose anyone. She answered the question directly, who to choose and why. She said it was not hard to imagine a conversation, but she didn't flesh out that imagination by giving us an example of one question she might ask Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Out of all of the things that she learned from the book that she referred to, she could have added to that little talk one example question, or even a snippet of dialogue between the two of them. Alex spoke about where, if you could live anywhere in the world for 6 months for free, where would you choose? And she spoke about a Chilean island, gave us lots of colorful pictures, verbal pictures of the things that she would do, bike riding and enjoying the beautiful surroundings. She didn't tell us how she found out about this island. That would have been one little tiny tidbit to add to the talk. It sounds like it came from family connections, because I think I heard her say that her family would be there. Bob Fogle answered a desert island question. What kind of music would he play if he had one recording only? And he gave an elaborate picture of himself becoming the local in terms of dress and decoration. He answered the question directly. He conjured up a flotilla of friends descending on the island to rescue him as he was listening to Alice in Chains recording. And what he didn't tell us that would have added to it was whether his rescuers liked the music as much as he did. Kartik spoke about being king for a day and described how the caste system operates and compels people of a certain caste to do certain jobs. It sounded like those were very menial, unpleasant jobs, and it would have made a powerful addition to his talk if his talk had described at least one of those tasks, what the task involved and why it was so repulsive. He recommended creating a system so that the task got executed without the cast having to get their hands dirty doing it. And Dan spoke about spending the last day on Earth, getting out in the beauty of nature, making sure that Jean was along, and enjoying the beauty of nature. I have no recommendation other than to find out what island he was talking about. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Okay, switching hats. Madam Evaluator, I think it's time for General Evaluator Jean Symington Craig to take over. And then at some point, she'll have to evaluate the two evaluators.
Right.
Maybe you would want to do that first?
We do that. We'll do that at the end of when I do my part.
Okay.
But actually, I should just very quickly evaluate Art's table topics, since he just did that. He got the question about creating the best sandwich ever. I don't know about anybody else, but I was drooling. Art had such descriptive words filled with specificity, not just any peanut butter, but Laura Scudder peanut butter. Ice cold lettuce from the fridge. I mean, he really filled out the image, which is which was outstanding and added to his speech. He also, I like that he contrasted. He set us up with a comparison. He said at the beginning, it depends what age we're talking about. So he gave us the early version and he gave us the current version. So that was just a nice sandwich of content. I thought he did very, very well. And he had excellent vocabulary. I've written stuff down in the grammarian section, but you can tell that Art really likes to talk about food. And because I have seen him in the past talk about other kinds of food, and he just waxes so eloquently about characteristics and flavors. It makes me wish I had eaten before I came on. Maybe we'll have Art make us sandwiches sometime. But that would be all I was really going to say about Art. I thought he did a really excellent table topics. Yeah, that's it. All right, so now over switching hats, putting on my general evaluator hat, we'll go ahead and hear the reports for the evening. And we'll, no, we have to vote on the best evaluator, right? Okay, thank you, Dan. Takes a village here, doesn't it? The timer, that was Alex. Alex, did our evaluators qualify? Please tell us who qualified.
Yes, both evaluators qualified. So we have Bob and Art.
Okay, very good. So please send your vote on that to Art, and we'll keep moving in the meantime. All right, so since we've got you up, Alex, and you're looking very good tonight. I'm sorry, I just have to comment. You've got some nice background. It looks great. Would you please give us the timers report?
Thank you so much, Jean. Thanks, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. So we had a great meeting tonight. All the speakers qualified and the evaluators. So the time for our speaker for the main speech, it was Kartik. He did in 5 minutes and 52. For the table topics, we had Jean at 2 minutes and 12, Bob 1 minute and 42, Alex 2 minutes and 8, Karthik 2 minutes and 7, Art 2 minutes and 15, and then 2 minutes 20. For the evaluators, we had Bob at 2 minutes and 28 and Art at 4 minutes and 21. And this is my report. Back to
Very
you,
good.
Madam General Evaluator.
Very good. Next, we will hear from, go with our ah counter. And that was Dan.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. Here are the salient statistics. Alex had a number of ahs. I believe it was 7, a couple of uhs, 1 and a so. Jean appeared to have 2 false starts. I thought that Art was clean on all speaking. Karthik had what I heard as uhs during his speech. Bob heard it as ahs, one or the other. Quite a few. It was more than 10. And interestingly enough, when he spoke and did his table topics, his filler word was you know. Quite a few you knows. 1 false start and 3 so's. Bob, I heard 1 and 1 and. That's my report.
Thank you, Dan. Now we'll hear from the grammarian. That is me. Fair amount of the word of the day usage today. Dan was really leaning into it. I have at least 3 for Dan. He may have said it more. I said 2. Art said 1. Did anyone else use the word of the day? Salient? That's how you pronounce it, salient. Nope, okay. But you see how useful a word it is. Bob, when you're telling your guys to go under the house or whatever, you can say the salient point here is we want to make sure the house doesn't land on top of us, whatever.
That'll be the word tomorrow.
Some creative usages of language. Karthik said creative, and I'm going to continue to say his name is pronounced because I finally got this. It's Karthik, like thick with a Thanksgiving or theocracy or thought. I had a tendency to start with a T, just a T, but it's a th. And Karthik can yell at us for being thick if he wants to, if we're not getting it. Let's see. So he said, create a bond. And he said, I was struggling. He could have said, you know, the problem, but he just said I was struggling. Bob used the word captivated. I like that word. Bob also used true rocker friends, which is an interesting little piece. And then art. So if I didn't call your name, that's okay. Nothing, it doesn't mean your talk wasn't good. But Art had slather, he had cold lettuce, he had dribble, he had conjured, then manifested. He kept throwing out the 25-cent, 50-cent words. Dan said colorful light rise when he was talking about the sunrise. And that would be it for the grammarian's report. I did it all right. I did that. Perfect. Okay, good. And now we have our joke master for the evening. And that is who is, wait, that don't tell me. That is, oh, wonderful, Alex.
Hey.
Okay. So I do have some jokes here that you have to try to guess. What lights up a soccer stadium? What lights up a soccer stadium? No guesses? A soccer match.
Soccer match. Oh, okay.
Okay. If athletes get athletes' food, what do elves get? If athletes get athletes' food, what do elves get? No. Mistletoes.
Mistletoes. Ah,
Those two
I
together.
don't get it, but you know, so Karthik's looking a little puzzled. Karthik, I didn't
Yeah.
get it either. So that's
Yeah,
okay.
Okay.
Art didn't get it either. So cultures and genders and ages, nobody got it. Well, anyway, well, you can tell us later.
Well, it's just a reminder that Christmas is coming.
Oh,
What did the policeman said to his belly button?
The magician?
What did the policeman
What did the policeman say to his belly button? Huh?
said to his belly button?
come out of there. No.
No, no gas? You're under a vest.
You're under a vest.
Vest.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
Okay. I thought it was gonna have something to do with a donut hole or something. I didn't
Yeah.
keep going.
All right, and the last one. Why do seagulls fly over the sea? Why do seagulls fly over the sea? No guess?
Mm-mm.
Because if they flew over a bay, they would be called bagels.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
These are my jokes for the night.
Yeah. All right. That last one was saved. I would not bookmark that website wherever you got those jokes. But fortunately, there's a lot of websites. Okay.
Don't feel bad, Alex. They tell me not to sell my jokes either. They're too racy.
All righty. There we go. As general evaluator, I will give my report now. I will give my report now. First, I wanted to comment on Bob's evaluation of Karthik. Bob was very encouraging. Starting, he just said, came out swinging. Karthik came out swinging, meaning he did a great job with his opening. And in an icebreaker, you want to give lots of encouragement and positive feedback. Bob was doing that. He demonstrated that he was listening for specifics. So he did make the comment that there were very few filler words. Some ahs started to creep in, but very few filler words, which was very noticeable for all of us who've seen Karthik talk. Bob also mentioned that there was a strong conclusion. That is a good evaluation piece. Was the speaker able to give a strong conclusion? So good opening and good conclusion. That's part of a well-organized speech. He gave a suggestion to practice a bit more. So even those ahs don't creep in. But it was obvious Karthik practice. So that was very good. My suggestion to Bob would be, because the icebreaker is really the salient point is to learn how to organize and structure your ideas into an opening, a body with main points, and then subpoints that support, and then a conclusion that summarizes and then gives an extra take-home kapow for the audience to comment while talking about the content to indicate this was Karthik's second main point, or this was Karthik's third main point, to demonstrate that you understand that what you're commenting on is not as much the content, but how does the content fulfill the organizational objectives? That's a lot, but that's the leaning that I want people to do for content. Art, and that, in my opinion, Art had the table topics evaluation. The one thing I'm going to say about Art, he did do a very good job. He gave suggestions for everyone as he went through, except for Dan. It's kind of an old guy conspiracy there. but the one thing I would say, so that was good. The one thing I would say for Art, suggestion would be, unless I heard incorrectly, most of the suggestions involve adding content to the talk. Now, that's okay if something was introduced in the talk and an example would have enhanced that point further. So one of the suggestions Art had was to give an example, and that's legitimate. You make a statement and then you give an example. I mean, it's all legit, but this is me breaking it down. But just to say, for example, how a suggestion that Alex add content on how she learned about this island is not as salient, because Alex could say all kinds of things about the island, and she chose not to mention that. But it wasn't that what she said was missing this. It was that there was an obvious deficiency. I'm trying to explain this as I can. So Bob had, the suggestion for Bob was, would the rockers like the music, for example? Well, Bob didn't really go into that. It could be inferred, but if his talk indicated that in the structure of his talk, if there was a deficiency, meaning it was really important that he had that in there because he brought something up and then it was something was obviously missing, well, then that would be where you would say, add this content. I hope that makes a little more sense. That's my report. Everybody did a great job tonight. Oh, I'm trying to use different words. Everyone did a very competent, focused, specific job in everything they did tonight. It was a pleasure to be at this meeting from the start to the finish. And with that, I will hand it back to our Toastmaster, Art.
I will say that I agree with the deficiency that Jean is noticing in all of my suggestions, or most of them. But one of the things I think we might want to think about is, given 4 or 5 people to evaluate in the time allotted, I find it difficult to come up with a salient suggestion that addresses the points that she was raising that make for a really powerful suggestion. With that many people to cover, as it was, I think I came in at 4 minutes, 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pushing to make sure I didn't run over time.
If you had had more time, Art, would you have been able to?
With that many people, I don't think I can come up with a really good structural suggestion.
Okay. Well, table topics evaluator is a hard job because there's so many different currents going. But it's good to get feedback. I think it's a muscle. There's a muscle that gets worked there. But yeah, so we all do the best we can on the roles that we have, and sometimes we're stronger in something and not as strong in something else. I kind of like table topics evaluating just because it feels like rapid fire. And hopefully my brain keeps up, but yeah, duly noted, Art. It's a lot. And you had a lot of people tonight. So okay.
Let's go on. And the time for meeting awards has arrived. We know who the best speaker of the evening is. Our new member, Karthik Kanapan.
Yay,
Here we go. Oh, yay. Where's my ribbon? Wow, there it is. There it is. Ah, yes.
Thank you.
Got Karthik.
Yes.
Thank you. And Art, you pronounced the last name correctly. You're the first person to pronounce it correctly.
So teach us. What is it?
It's called Kanappan.
Kanapan.
Kanappan. Yep.
Kanapan. Okay.
Yes.
Kanapan. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Kanapan?
Yes.
Okay. You just correct us, because we are committed to using people's names correctly and saying it. So don't hesitate.
Sure.
Right.
So, best table topics of the evening, Dan Craig.
Yay.
Woo!
And best evaluator of the evening, me.
Yay.
Woo! All right. All right. Get my finger here. Okay. Okay.
And the gavel goes back to the man with the hammer.
Right. Well, what a great, fabulous evening, everyone. Karthik, good job. Nice icebreaker. I thought everyone did a great job tonight, especially our evaluators, Art, Jean. I learned so much when I listen to you folks, either one of you, because when I'm out in the real world, that's how my brain muscles work. And I'm always trying to think, how do I step up my game? How do I encourage someone? How do I evaluate them? And I must say, truthfully, and working with my men, these muscles are exercising my business, and I'm able to encourage and lift them up even when they need to be stomped on. So we'll leave it at that. And it does have a little bit of work. It does have a lot of value with that. All right, we were gonna get ready to close this meeting tonight. And before we do so, does anyone have to add anything? Anybody, anything to say? No?
You could close it and then we could talk.
Okay. All
Don't
right.
don't hurt yourself with that, and don't hurt your furniture or anything.
I gotta get me a new something. I don't know what I'm gonna get, but I'm gonna get something here. And we're gonna close this meeting.
All right.
All right.
Is that it? That's the hammer? Okay.
Yes.